it's kind of buried into. But anyway, we're on. Brother Marong, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Father Mose. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I had a rough night last night, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those programs and Nigerian events, and they had a band, so it took forever. I really didn't get to go home till around 5 a.m. So
Ooh.
it was rough, really. Like Pasamba would say, for an old man, that's kind of tough. Try to recover.
So, but do you have to physically be there the entire time
Oh
to
yeah,
over?
oh yeah. I mean, these things, bro. It's just like your your store. I mean, yes, you do have helper, but and another thing is now you can really hire somebody, but when you have a tiny margin, you have to be very careful what you can do. You know.
No, I was wondering if just kind of relief a little bit. I mean,
Oh
for
yeah,
the
sometimes,
for the
but
person to be there, then you can oversee. Come back and how far of a drive is it from the event center to your house?
it's about 35 minutes.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, you know
Eh,
Atlanta. Everywhere is far. Hey man, but we missed you. The July 4th. I was expecting Sariang, and it didn't happen. So we
no.
definitely did miss you. Kasamba was around. We were able to do our number. We had lunch, and it was interesting. Definitely, you were the only one. That is why we didn't even do any for the people, by the people, like a snippet. If you were there, we would have done it.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
had, I had to take care of business, man. My HVAC went out of commission, so
Right. Mm.
And these days, man, it's just hot. I mean, triple digits. I mean, yesterday was everybody thought it was gonna be cool a little bit, but man, it's still hot.
Wow.
Very, very hot. Yeah, those days it was 102 degrees. It went all the way to 102, so pretty hot.
Today is the European Championship, so we're definitely going to keep it short because I have a feeling that we won't be having a whole lot of viewers when it hits 3 o'clock. I think the game starts at 3,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing. And of course, Pasamba is not around. I mean, he's at work today. So it's just going to be one of those shows. I mean, we were thinking about canceling it, but I'm like, oh no, they will not be very happy with us. That kind of thing. Yeah. So, so what's been going on? A lot of things happening in the Gambia.
Yeah.
Lots of things.
A
And of
lot of
course,
things been happening in the Gambia. A lot of things been happening in our home country here,
oh
the
my
United
goodness.
States of America.
Oh
So
my goodness. Bro, that was now. I don't I was just watching the news this morning. I mean, like on ABC and then just on CNN a few minutes ago. I don't know what the fallout is going to be. I mean, how is this going to play out? How is it going to play out to the average American voter? I mean, does it reinforce? I mean, is it going to be about the Republicans are going to be so energized and angry that they will be swamping the polls as if there is no tomorrow to make sure that um, Donald Trump get elected? How is this going to play out?
well, I was talking to someone yesterday. He's a neighbor here, so
Hmm.
he was talking about it. But I said, let's also reflect that, the man who is a victim today that we're all talking about, but how much has he done to dispel such atmosphere, right? So, I
Mhm.
mean, they've shot Gabriel Gitford, yeah, Arizona congresswoman, and
Yeah,
I mean, Nancy Pelosi's husband has been, ambushed in their own home and hammered. I mean, this is the same guy who was at rallies and making jokes about it, right? So when
yeah,
we say political, we need to kind of be careful of the political rhetoric. I mean, he's been saying it. January 6th, who mobilized it? He mobilized it, right? And if there is going to be energy and intensity, I think it's going to be on both sides, because I think their project 2025 galvanize, and it's going to wake a lot of people up, especially the suburban women, young women, because if you look at it, there's a lot of issues in there that this country was not founded on. I mean, this is not dictatorship. And a lot of people are angry. I mean, the guy over here, originally he's from Alabama. This guy is talking about slavery if this guy wins, I mean, so you can see the anxiety and emotion of how people, and he squarely went back and say, I voted for Democrats. I mean, I think even though there should be a discussion about Biden getting out, it should be a family discussion, not going on the media and castigate him and all that, because what you're doing is you're empowering the alternative. The alternative is the person who had Project 2025. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to appoint people who are competent. I mean, he wants loyalists. I mean, you're talking about 2016 all the way to 2024, people who prevented him from his overreaching tendency. Now he's not gonna care about those things. And there's an anxiety. There's anxiety about women. This is a guy who said on their 2020 they're gonna go away with no fault marriages, the contraception, all he wants to reformat the federal service. So for some of us who've been working for the federal government, not because of competence, but because of loyalty to someone, where even though this country was not founded on that. So there's a lot of anxiety. I don't think the fallout is gonna be that much. I think people just need to wake up and just say, yes, he's a victim, and I pray for him and his family. But where did it start? Where is the leadership, right? I mean, they've
Mm.
killed people. Chesterfield happened. I mean, he was the president. He hasn't done much, right? But I think the greater conversation should be about civility, right? Okay, we need to have our own political discourse, but do it in a civilized, non-violent manner. This is the man. A couple of months ago, he said, I don't know if I don't get reelected, people are going to be
Oh
very
yeah.
angry. People are, you fit into that notion, right? So I think as much, and I know media try to spin this whole nonsense and all that, but this man has a consistent track record of not dispelling such violent atmosphere. And today he's a victim of the same
No
thing that
doubt.
he's been saying.
No doubt.
So
Absolutely.
hopefully people will just kind of, you know,
Look,
um, think
I
about it and reflect on. But the most important part is Georgia. People need to get out and vote. They need to mobilize and vote. That's the only way to
oh
prevent this man.
look, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure Georgia will be mobilized, but this is one state too. I mean, Biden can still lose Georgia and win the election. I mean that is absolutely very possible. He can lose Georgia, and as long as um, he wins Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, I mean that's all he needs. Just keep that firewall. If that
Yes.
happens, Biden wins. But I'm just saying, I mean, most political pundits looking at what happened, and again, the guy is evil. The guy basically he's the one championing violence more than anything else. If it were the other way around that Biden was shot at, I can guarantee you the rhetoric from him would be totally different. I mean, even listen to what some of those, supposed vice presidential candidates, aspirants are saying. They're pointing fingers at Biden, that somehow he's behind this. What does that tell you? And starting tomorrow, that's when their convention starts. And I can guarantee you the rhetoric would be out there. The guy is going to be seen as a martyr. I mean, he was leading. He is leading as it is. Now, after
No,
this,
he's not.
he
He's not.
is. He is.
No, he's not, man. I don't know
No,
which
I mean,
polls you
yes,
watch.
it's statistical dead hit, but if you look at the
No,
states that
no,
have,
no, no. There
look,
is a poll
Mama Yo, yep,
50.
we're on the same
No,
camp.
no, but Musa, we cannot
I'm
keep
just
beating
saying,
the dead horse.
no,
This is our president, and we need to support him. This whole thing about changing the
no,
whole thing in the middle of
it's not a question of not supporting him. This is not about him. It's about the political party. It's about stopping Donald Trump. You see, we
But
cannot
the
reduce
political
politics
party,
into.
the voters,
I don't.
14
Hold
million
on.
of them voted for him. For 14 million. And he's the sitting president. How are
Please,
you going to tell him to step
I
aside?
don't disagree, but there is no doubt that in the eyes of most Americans and most voters, they don't think the guy at his age of 81, he doesn't have what it takes. And that's the unfortunate part.
Okay,
And
so how old is Trump? Let me ask you this. How old is Trump?
Most likely he will lose.
How
Trump is
old
78.
is Trump?
He's 78. Huh? But if you look at
okay.
Trump looks much more energetic. Trump looks, to be honest, I mean, it is what it is. I don't like Trump. I do not want him to win. I think I'll be sick.
I think you guys are all freaking out too much on this. This thing needs to play out.
Look, bro, I mean, we're losing. When we're losing in Michigan, we're losing in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, is game over. Now, I know it's about
the latest post. I did not see Biden over. Losing in Michigan.
If he
Latest
win
post I did.
Firewall, we cannot win. I mean, I just don't see him winning. It comes down to how he's seen by the American voter. If we had to change horses right now, bring in a nuke, I think that would kind of fire up the party.
Musa, what you are saying is, Musa, I heard this. You know, this is, here is the thing. If an elitist or the pundit sit on the media and trying to, no, hold on a second. But no, this is the thinking. Here's the thing. And you said it, the George Clooney's of this world, yes, they are donors. But they don't manage the inner side. Out of 213 sitting members, only 17 came out to say he should drop out. That is like less than 10% or 10%.
No. The people that came out publicly and vocally, but the majority of them that are quiet.
But why are they quiet?
I mean, I'm sorry?
Why are they quiet?
I mean, you know how politics is sometimes.
No. You know,
they don't want to come out and say these things. But India, I mean, even I understand, even Pelosi and Obama, they're seriously looking into finding ways to talk the man to step aside.
I think the media is spinning this and trying to change the narrative here. And I think this needs to come. I respect the man. He is the president of the United States. No, hold on a second. Hold on. Obama can advise him. But the only person who needs to make this decision is Biden.
Absolutely. That is why.
So I think everyone needs to give him space.
Hold on.
Everyone needs to give him space and calm down. No, Republican got a felon, 34 counts felon, who is how here. They stick with him. They show up at court.
You're making the wrong argument.
No, I am not. I mean, it's just that the spineless people don't have backbone and they are all scared. You take the fight. Bro, the man performed his performance at Michigan the other day. Oh, everybody was excited. Everybody was, Biden, he's intensive. He had about 15 minutes of press conference. They were talking, he used teleprompter. He didn't use no freaking teleprompter for 15 minutes. He was, I don't know, hold on a second. You know me, I'm a realist, right? The fact is, he uses her. He went to Michigan. He went to Michigan.
Same team.
But Musa, the fact is, I think we need to tap down this emotion that, the guy, we need new person. The new person, there is no vote, there is no new polling. That shows that new person or whatever person is has a broader appeal, he's going to beat Trump at a significant. There's absolutely no poll out there.
The majority of the electorate, they don't want either of the candidates. They need somebody fresh and different. And all we are saying
that's fine.
Because our candidate, they've seen him as he's not up to the job because of his age. Biden is an honest man. He's an honorable man. Nobody doubts that. Absolutely nobody doubts that. But the reality of the situation is...
But how about the alternative? How old is going to be the guy?
I'm sorry?
How old is Trump going to be after 4 years?
You see, this is about perception and how people see these two leaders.
You need to fed off that perception. Here's the thing. 2025 project is more dangerous than an 81-year-old man. No, I'm telling you, Musa. You see things differently. The things that, hold on a second, ask me. Right here is the thing.
hold on.
Here's the thing
It's
I'm
very
gonna say.
possible. It's very
Right.
possible that Biden could still win. I have absolutely no doubt about that. It is possible. The question then becomes, I mean, what's the risk? Because we do not want Trump to be reelected. That is one candidate that we don't want him to go back to the White House. So why take the risk? Why roll the dice? People
What
have
is the risk
education.
there?
I mean,
What is the risk?
this is, oh, I mean, this is a guy that you said, I mean, 34 indictments. It hasn't changed the polls. He's still leading. I mean, most Americans believe that he will be reelected. So the reality
What do
is
you mean by most Americans?
the voters, the polls that are out there. Come on now.
Musa,
You
I
bring
think
the
the
same
risk
polls that
is
I
I
use.
think the risk is I think the risk is people need to stop freaking out and stick together
And then
and fight.
wait until we lose.
No, it's not losing. That you're just saying that. But here is the thing. Even the vote. Yeah, I see a lot of people. Oh, there's going to be sympathy. What sympathy? This is a man who has been in the forefront inciting violence in America.
Look, all
I
this is saying
sympathize
his
with
vote
him. They
is
shot
going to
him.
be wrong.
They should
I
not
do
have killed
agree.
him. But he hasn't taken a single leadership that's gonna fed up this whole notion.
You are preaching to the choir. I am with you on that.
But I am.
The
It's
man
just
is
like you
zero.
and other pundits who are saying I'm a diehard Democrat, but keep telling me, oh, he needs to drop. The only thing they saw, not fine tuning their message, not taking the fight to the Republican or to the public, the voters. You need to get out there and take your message to the voters. Make them make the decision.
Well,
And I
you
think the
know,
man needs to be respected. He's the
you know,
president of the United States.
where we can agree is, I hope you are right that Biden stays on the race and wins. That's what
No,
I would like to see. I'm
here
just
is you
saying.
twisting again. I am
I'm
not
not
saying.
listening.
All I'm just saying is,
I'm
I
just
think
look.
majority of you, I mean, you guys are saying he needs to get out. He needs to get. There is not substantial polling data that suggests that even when he performed badly on the debate to suggest otherwise. There is absolutely none.
Bro, before the debate, this guy, Biden was behind, even before the debate. To be candid, this is a race. Biden running against Trump. It should not even be close. It should
Okay,
not
but
even
it
be
is
anywhere close.
close, Musa.
The
It
reason
is
why,
close.
the reason
Why is
why,
last year
the reason,
2020 was close?
no, the reason why it is close
Uh-huh.
is because we don't have a Biden. I don't want to say a bad candidate, but seriously, just look at it. Look at his approval rating, 34%. No American has ever been re-elected with that low approval rating. That's what pundits are saying, and you cannot disagree with what is out there. You can
Yeah,
you
but
can bury
Musa,
bury
but
your
here's
head
the
in
thing.
sand, and like I said, I hope you are right. I hope we wake up
I am
and
not.
light
No.
again.
I wanna make sure
I
that
am going to
we're
line up.
talking. At the end of the day, I know how you operate now. I don't want to come back here in November. Oh, you were wrong. You were saying, oh, Biden should. No, I did not say. What I'm saying is, he is the president of the United States.
Of course.
14 million. Hold on a second. 14 million primary voters voted. He did not have any competition during the primary, and up to today, I don't see anything otherwise besides that 90 minutes debate performance, which we all agree is bad. But after that, the guy recalibrated. He used teleprompter. Which president in the United States speaks without a teleprompter? The Obamas, Joe Biden. So now he says, okay, let me notch this notion. He stood there. Yes, he fumbled. 81 years old, maybe 81. I'm not even going to pronounce the words
That's what
correctly.
I'm
I don't
saying.
know. Okay,
Even that.
but he
Look,
tried his
I'm not
best.
going
He
to.
went back to Michigan. He took the fight to Trump, and he ended Trump. That's the message he needs to continue doing.
No.
Let's give him space. Let him and his family do this whole thing. Yeah, yeah.
Come November 5th or November 3rd. The elections are November 2nd. I am going to rally myself, my family, everybody, and they will line up and they will vote against this potential dictator, someone that I cannot stand. That I know. But now, what you are saying is we should keep Biden on the ticket and that he is going to win, right?
I did not say that. I really because No, hold on a second.
What's
What
wrong with
I'm
that? I'm
trying to
not even
dispel.
saying.
Hold on. But you asked me a question. You want verification. How about you let me speak now? Right? I have the don't do that. So here's my thing.
So do
I
you
think what
think he
is
has what it
disrespect?
takes to win?
What is
Do you think he
disrespectful?
can
No,
win
hold on
or
a
not?
second. I'm gonna tell you the
You're
reason why I
waffling.
get frustrated.
You're
This is
waffling.
a man who defeated Trump.
I
He
know.
defeated Trump. No. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. You asked me, and I'm telling you, he defeated Trump. He passed more consequential legislation in the United States than any president, including Barack Obama.
I know.
No, hold on. So 90 minutes of debate performance, and now since then he recalibrated, he readjusted. I am very open-minded. I think at some point, let's see how things play out.
What are we going to
At
see?
some point, if Biden comes into an agreement that I can't do it, or smart people around him say, hey, sir, we need to pass the torch, then at that point, if he says, I'm going to pass the torch, I'm going to respect
But
that.
that's what I'm advocating for. I'm
But
not
but
saying
no
that
no
he's
no no. But you got
stop.
no. You're not advocate. You are push. We're in trouble. What are we in trouble? There is absolutely no polling data that solidify the proposition that you guys are advocating for. Absolutely none.
I
Because
know.
this is a
I know. If we wake up
rolling day
November
data.
3rd and Biden wins, you're gonna say, "You see, I told you that you guys were kind of overreacting." I'm just saying,
All
and I
I'm doing
hope,
is, in as much as you watch politics closely, that's how I am watching
I
politics.
hope, I
Even
hope.
Georgia and say Michigan, there are black folks, majority, who are saying that, you know what? They are pushing this Kamala Harris, we don't know. We really don't know
No,
whether
we
we're going to
don't.
vote.
No,
So there is
but
things on both sides, but you have to be careful.
there are no assurances. Pushing Biden aside and then bringing Kamala, that could even be risky. I'm not saying it is not. To be candid with you, I absolutely have no idea. But looking at
So there's a risk too in
oh,
that
there's a risk.
factoring.
There is a
Okay.
risk. But then we have to look at the situation and weigh the risk, retaining Biden and then replacing him with another Democratic candidate. Those are the two things that needs to be looked at. That's all I'm saying. And if it looks like
And I think the greater risk is, Musa, the greater risk is if other voters, especially the 14 million that voted for him, and felt that, you know what, our candidate has done so much, he stood by progressives, he passed more legislation, he's doing much. Now they're trying to push him out, right? That they are pushing him out. Now, I think if those people stand out, they felt that they're not going to vote. I think that's more risk than just this thing that we're talking about. So I think on both sides we have to walk a fine line. At the end, everyone needs to unite, and this decision needs to come from the president, not other person, not the pundits, not some elitist from California because he freaking write a check. I don't think it should be like that.
Just like you're voicing your opinion, these are people that support the Democratic Party and they're voicing their opinion. It's not a big. I mean, you can be accused of being elitist. I don't think it has anything to do with that.
No, I'm not an elitist because I'm with the voters. I voted.
No.
I voted in the primary. I'm speaking as a voter, Fadamos.
What it comes down to is Trump cannot be reelected. I'm serious. That is one thing that we all agreed on. And there's something else that you said that I agreed, and that is, at the end of the day, we have to cut this back and forth and rally, whether it's Biden, whether it's a replacement. The Democratic Party should be able to come together and push forward. This Biden should drop out, Biden should stay, he shouldn't stay, he's going to lose. I do not think, I'm telling you, ultimately it doesn't help the party at all.
No, it doesn't. And I think here is the thing: the conversation needs to happen as a close-knit family, right? And I have a lot of respect for people who are close to the powerhouse. I think they are smart politicians. They are looking at the data, right? But what I'm trying to say is, when you keep, he needs to go. There is absolutely no data point. Even Kamala. The fact is, there is absolutely none that shows that her candidacy is going to be better. And you know what I'm scared of is these folks that have went out there in numbers, who went and vote to put Biden at the top in Arizona, in Michigan, in Georgia. If those people go out there in the primary and voted, now they felt that their candidate is being pushed out by those.
Let's be honest too. I mean, the Democratic primary, it wasn't really a primary. You know, it's really, I mean,
it's a primary. It is.
It wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, you did not vote. I did not vote. I mean, people really
how do you know I did not vote? You see, now now I know that you didn't even vote. So sitting here,
no, I did not vote.
On huh?
No, I did not vote. No, primary, no, I did not. Because as far as I'm concerned, we already have a candidate.
I sent in my ballot. I sent in my mail-in ballot because I'm passionate.
Young guy wasn't mail-in ballot like Vancouver.
Yes, but I'm passionate though. I'm passionate. I get it. The guy is old. Musa, I get it. But what I'm trying to say is, at least I think it's kind of disrespectful. A sitting president who is also the nominee of the majority party to push him out, and I think we kind of need to calm down a little bit. You know, I mean, this whole thing, Nancy Pelosi giving this mix-up answer and all that stuff. I don't think
ultimately
get a little spine and the Democrats get a little spine and backbone.
Listen, ultimately, it has to be Biden's decision, and he should not be disrespected. And 4 years in the White House and in this country, Biden has done great, no doubt about that. Now, I don't know what is behind this approval rating of 34%. It's unfortunate. That is totally unfortunate. They talk about inflation. Inflation is coming down. There are a lot of things that I do not know what is responsible for that. But the reality of politics, we want to win. Absolutely no doubt about that. I want him to win. No doubt about that. But again,
I don't know. I say I have the greatest respect for my sister, to Claude, but I don't know what angle is she coming from. The Palestinian.
Yes.
She's saying the Palestinian issue is.
You just one of those. I mean, I get it. You support the man. You
no. But she's saying the Palestinian issue.
The Palestinian issue. This is the deal. This is the deal. I'm telling you, in Michigan, if those people don't come out in numbers, the Arabs, I think we are toast. Seriously.
Yeah. I think the conversation. I think the project 2025 scare most people out. No, I'm telling you. Even Friday, we were at the masjid. We were talking about it. The alternative is the worst. You can sit there and get all this stuff about Palestine all you want. This is where I'm gonna belong. I'm gonna bluntly say it. You can get pissed off about Palestine all you want, but I think Project 2025 is the worst.
I believe that.
And if you think you can sit out and not vote and get angry,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I totally agree with you that the Palestinians will be stupid. The Arabs in Michigan will be stupid to think that somehow staying home, because what that means is they are automatically voting for Trump. Trump wins, I think Palestinians will be worse off. Whenever you think of Biden, they will be worse off. But you see, unlike you, I'm a political realist. I'm on planet Earth. I look at things as they are. If you bring Kamala tomorrow, it's going to bring a lot of excitement. Women voters in numbers. Black
Where did you get that data from?
You will change. Look, if you look at the polls right now, she's doing better than Biden against Trump. And I think the moment she becomes the candidate, the whole thing changes. That will elevate her status. It's going to be a whole different ball game. You talk about Georgia, we will carry Georgia under Kamala. Really, it's going to bring excitement. People will say, yes, this is what we wanted. American voters have been saying that. We don't want Trump. We don't want Biden. Give us something new. We give them something new. I think the Democrats will be better off rolling the dice on Kamala than staying with
Biden. The way things are going right now, I really don't think so.
I believe, like you, that Biden can still stay in the race and can still win. Really. My whole thing is, I don't want to take the risk. But
All I know is the man needs to be given space. All I know is he needs to be given space. They are smart people, but this whole thing, I mean, he chooses Pamela. Pamela is the vice president, and I think in hand, if they work for for her to succeed Biden, I think it just needs to work in a collaborative environment and bring folks together, not other side being pissed off and felt that they've been pushed out, right? And I think that's a greater danger to mobilizing the democratic base and also getting folks to build. And that's what it is. And I haven't seen any data. I don't know where you're getting all this excitement and all these things. I'm not sure because you did that all. Oh, there's excitement. Change it. Change the flag bearer. There's gonna be this and this.
I'm gonna, yo, and yo. You guys were like staying the course.
No, it's not. But you know, I think it's sometimes exaggerated about the whole thing. I think the man needs to be given chance.
This September debate, I'm serious. I'm very scared. Come September, it will be too little, too late. I mean, it's going to be another disaster. And Jaharang, 50, 70 million Americans will be watching. I'm just scared. I wish he could step.
No, I get you. I get you. I get it.
I would rather him not even debate Trump come September. The problem with Biden is
I'd rather have him debate Trump.
Huh?
I would rather have him debate Trump.
No, because what's going to happen is
why
Biden.
Well, no, why?
Biden Makla. He's not as quick. He cannot take the fight to Trump. I'm serious. He cannot.
See, this is the thing I have issues with.
The way I want the guy against this guy, I don't think I would rather have Gavin Newsom prosecute this case against Trump. I would rather have Kamala Harris.
But they are not the nominee. That is the reality. That they are not.
But there's nothing wrong with me wishing now.
Yeah, no, wish all you want, but they are not the they are not the nominee. You got an old white man, 81 years old, who is the nominee. So that's the reality. Unless if you live on planet Earth, but the reality today is 81-year-old who is the current president of the United States.
3 o'clock will be.
Well, let's go. 3 o'clock, let's go.
They'll be tuning out and watching the European Championship. And
yes, you know, I think all Democrats need to have a little backbone, man. Let's have a spine and backbone.
How do they need to have a little bit of spine.
That little spine, man. Let's get the spine and fight the guy, you know?
Now but one thing that I can agree with you is that if Biden is not going to be replaced, we might as well stop all this talk and rally behind the man and push forward. I mean,
Musa, here's on all seriousness though. But I'm telling you right now, a lot of people, people can talk about the Palestinian issue. They can talk about, but I'm just going to tell you right now, there is a little anxiety and anger about this project 2025. I'm going to tell you right now. There is. Sure and people are freaking out.
I'm sure.
People are freaking out.
I'm sure. Yeah,
people are freaking out.
Apart from the project 25, looking at what Biden has done, it's not like Trump is someone that we don't know. We live under Trump for 4 years. For Americans to even think about going back into the polling booth and voting for him, that tells you a lot about the American voter. It's unfortunate. Biden is an honest guy. He's an honorable man. He has done good for this country.
And stick with him.
And I know it. That we can all agree. Why the polls are even close, I don't even understand it. I really don't. I don't. Honest to God. And the only thing that I could hang my hat on is because of his age. People don't think he's fit to be president because of his age. Unfortunately.
It's a perception issue. And the fact is, the 78-old man is gonna be 82 after his second term, and he misquote things. He cannot talk about any policy directives.
Where was it again? At the press conference. He was calling from his vice president, and people I'm like, my man, now.
No, I get it. You know, those are gaps, though. I mean, those are gaps. I mean, he gaps.
Hey, yo. You know, I mean, you have some slowness And then you come and then you kind of reinforce it. That was what was done to debate me. People thought he wasn't able to prosecute the case against Trump. And then since then, Zelensky was calling
So
him
what
Putin.
has the nuclear power
No idea.
has to do with
But
anything, Fabakari? You guys don't even understand how these nuclear codes operates here, man.
yeah,
He's not gonna take, what has that the
look,
mental,
a date, like I told you the other day, a
yeah?
vegetable, Biden on a wheelchair is better than Trump as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, he's gonna be
Absolutely
in
no
charge of
doubt
a
about that.
nuclear war. I mean,
I mean,
who's gonna
I believe that. I also do know that Biden is honest enough. If he was totally convinced that he doesn't have what it takes to
yeah?
run this country, I think Biden will step aside.
Yeah.
I absolutely have no doubt about that.
Okay.
My argument has always been maybe going with Biden is a risk, and we may end up electing Trump. To avoid that, let's change horses and see what happens. But moving along, we got to go back to Mother Gambia. Something happened. My brother, you an American citizen, they're putting your citizenship on an asterisk. You are less than a Gambian. That's what I got from this issue of these people being removed from the cabinet. Look, like most Gambians, when we were talking about this draft constitution, I come here every Sunday. I had an issue with it. I always believe that it doesn't matter what passport I do carry, you will never be able to take Gambianness out of me. It is not possible. Nobody can do that. Call it whatever you want to call it. We all know what the 1997 Constitution says. It's a disqualifier if you hold a passport from another country. I get that. But the reality is, it's a stupid and it's a bad law. It is idiotic, and that is why we retain mediocrity. And that law needs to go. It needs to change. Now, I do agree. If I were to be called and say they're going to offer me a ministerial position, most likely I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to tell them that I don't think I'm qualified because of this stupid law. But you know what? One thing I also do know, that for us to continue, and also when I look at the analysis of people going after saying this and saying after that, and I'm like, that's not where the argument is. The argument should be it's a horrible and it's a bad law, and it undermines what is in the interest of the Gambian people. Fala affaire bi nekk. Gambia will never be able to develop by marginalizing the people from the diaspora. And I just want to kind of give them a little bit of room to remind them of one thing. Just because you hold the blue passport or red or whatever the color is. I have a Gambian passport, a good one. When I travel, when I get to the international, when I get to Banjul International, I saw them my Gambian passport because I refuse to pay these visa fees. Because like I said, I'm as Gambian can get. But again, let's look at the journey that we have traveled as a people. When we were under dictatorship for 25 years, it was these marginalized Gambians that took it upon themselves and take the fight to the dictator. Where was this so-called Gambians with only a Gambian passport? This law should have been changed from day one. But it's unfortunate that it hasn't been changed. These people have been removed. Fine, remove them. I mean, the president did the right thing. Now, I have to be critical though. People say, has the president done their due diligence? One thing that I know, that if you want to recruit Sariang Marong, you got to know everything about Sariang. Does he have does he have the skill sets to do this job? Is he somebody that we believe he has the expertise that we want to reach out to and give him the job? Also, you have to look at the so-called disqualifier. Now, if the people, if they had lied to them, let's say, for instance, it's Hadija to see somebody that I know, this Moduba, I don't really know him. I don't really know him well. But we all, I mean, this rumor has been there for quite a while as far as the Minister of Communication is concerned. It's been there, people saying that he's an American citizen. Now, I don't even know whether he was removed because of that. There are a lot of versions of it that he was removed for some other reason. But I would have thought that at least the government should have done their homework and find out. How do you find out? You give the person, I mean, you know how it's done in the US. When you're hiring somebody, they do a background, everything about the man, their character, their qualifications, everything. Now, if you failed as a government or as a recruiter to find out whether this person is a US citizen or not, I mean, that also says a lot about you, really, that maybe you haven't done due diligence. The other question is, did the people that they reach out to, giving them a job, did they really lie? Did they ask them? I don't know. But hopefully, with this experience moving forward. But again, Sarian, my argument is it's a stupid law, it's a bad law, and that needs to go. In the new draft constitution, I think, I mean, at least that one is changed, that you can be a cabinet minister even if you are a dual citizen. But one thing I can tell them, if I were to be recruited and the whole issue comes up about for me to give up my passport, Sarayang, you know what I would tell them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to tell them? Mangulenke. I'm not going to do that. Mangulenke. I'm not going to do that. I will never do that. Seriously. If the only disqualifier is because I carry another passport and you think you question my loyalty, I just want to remind you that Njaga Jan has an American passport. When the people that had the blue passport was enabling the murderer, he took it upon himself and take the fight to him. So don't tell me about loyalty. It's a bad law. It's a horrible law. And like my mom used to say, you know, jube, you guys want to find somebody with just a passport? Stick with it. We will continue to be underdeveloped. We will continue to swim in this river of mediocrity. That is the honest to God truth, Mr. Morong. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. The law is discriminatory. I mean, here, the country that we call home now, the requirement is to be Secretary of State or run for even the local offices. Not saying you'd have to be a natural born. The natural born requires only to the presidency. So I don't understand why this bad law is still out there, but it kind of talks about the priorities of, the coalition when they came into office,
Yeah.
These were stuff that if they were, I mean, what I kind of think about was their national development plan that they had. And I think the former vice president was even on the record where he was saying that, they were looking at tapping into the diaspora. Folks come in, work for a certain type of period, and where if they like it, they can talk and negotiate and hire them permanently. If they don't, they can go back. But you have to lay out the formulas how you get to that point. And this law was bad. Even if that was the case, how are they even gonna get that right? How are they gonna do that, right?
How are they going to do what? Sorry.
No. How are they gonna hire someone from the diaspora who
Exactly.
hold a different citizenship than the Gambia, right? So I think it is all crazy. And the fact that, someone needs to tell them, but I think I saw a lot of negative comments about, people going out there, they were not honest and all that. I think that's pretty personal, right? I mean, folks left here. I did not leave. I'm not probably not gonna, like you said, the process that I went into, pipeline that I went up to, I got to here today. I'm not just going to relinquish that and say, I'm going to give away. And some of this stuff too, like if you have a security clearance and all that stuff, there is a requirement in there too. And I think people need to also understand that there is a requirement where it says, are you a dual citizen of other country besides the United States?
Yes.
Do you hold a passport?
Yes.
And that is if you're having of a job, right, a high paying job which requires secure, that is like a special, because I know when I was to renew mine, I mentioned my brother works for the United Nations. The investigator and I went back and forth, and he said, "Oh, that is a foreign country." I said, "How is it a foreign country, a foreign entity when it has its headquarters in New York? How are you going to call that a foreign entity?" I said, "I don't think so." So these are issues that you got to think about. All this, and I think I'm with C 100%. I mean, see, maybe have a family here, have kids here, have stayed here for a very long time. Are you just going to give up that in the name of patriotism when probably 5 to 6 years down the road, the person who charged you gonna fire you, right? So there's so much uncertainty, right? So as you said, Usman, I don't know, I don't know why he was fired. People are saying it's because of performance. I mean, these are all things that have been said. But the fact is, let's talk about the law. I think we should not be attacking individuals, and we should stop the law itself needs to be abolished. Because if
Exactly.
you think that's a litmus test about patriotism, as you rightfully said, yeah, people here, folks that sat on the medias and in phone race, for coalition 2026, took time out of their families and congregate, meet in places, protest and protest. They don't hold Gambian passports. I mean, majority of them are living here, but because of the love for their country, they went out and did that. So I think this whole notion of, and I see folks who say, "Oh, diasporas, they are scams, they're bad." No, they're not. I mean, let's stop attacking individuals. Let's talk about the
Scam for
process
what?
itself.
Send Joby Brea
Huh?
Budugini. Scam for what?
Exactly,
Send Joby
exactly,
Brea
exactly,
Budugini.
exactly,
You know?
exactly, exactly. I know I'm not gonna do it because I mean, I live here on this side of the world my adult life. I mean, more than what I've lived in Gambia. So obviously, you come down to all these things, and the law itself is bad. And we are looking at the deficiency too in the current structure of the government, the manpower, the
Exactly.
change that they all need. I think this law should be abolished, and hopefully, folks who wants to go back home, who don't want to, I mean, give up their citizen, can work in those arenas and make a difference. And I think that's what it is. But just going after folks and attacking them personally, I think that is just totally uncalled for.
But they're
It's
making
a personal responsibility. Telling the president's supposed to have them pay all their what they have. How about they were out of their jobs? They were out there servicing the country. I think they are entitled to those payments, and that's pretty extreme. But I think we just needs to stay on focus on the law itself. I mean, diaspora is everything.
it's a
Diaspora send
it's a
money.
bad
Diaspora is
law.
doing all these things. Now, for some reason, you cannot be a minister or a NAM. I mean, we've seen the caliber of NAMs. I think it would be nice to have folks from the diaspora who wants to run for their respective constituencies to run. Yeah, yeah,
Look, I know Hadija to see. We grew up together. Close family. I know her well. One thing that I know, see, people are making a lot of assumptions that people would actually lie and say that they've renounced their citizenship. Hadith Jatusi will not do that.
yeah.
I don't think the issue ever came up, to be candid with you. I don't think they ever said, fill out this form, checklist. Are you an American? Are you carrying a passport? And she said yes. The lady will never do that. I can guarantee you. She's been in the US for a long time. She works for UN agencies all over the
Yeah,
place. She has what it takes.
yeah,
So I bet you she was recruited for this job. So don't come here and tell me they failed to do their homework. Maybe the issue never came up.
yeah,
Maybe it didn't. And then remember, there was an issue. There was an issue that came up with her just when she took up when she took up the job. I don't remember whether it was with the permanent secretary or something. There was something. And you know how Gambia is. When you are new, and I've always made this argument, sometimes when you work for corporate America or you work for these, and then you go into Gambia, the culture is different. If you don't really recognize that I'm dealing in a different environment, you may alienate a whole lot of people. You can start, people start attacking you. And I think what actually happened, there were people within the ministry that had issues with her And they say, it's the American law. You need to push the envelope and put it out there. Something like that. You're more the hell. But the lady would never basically just lie that, I do not carry, I do not carry another passport. She would not do that. That is why when the issue came up, she resigned. I read something that, and I know Maddie. Maddie, I respect him dearly. His heart is in the right place. But sometimes I think he swims into his hyperbole. Now, yes, be critical of the government for not doing what they're supposed to do. But to start talking about let's impeach the president because we have hired people that can be a threat to national security. I'm like, give me a freaking break. Are you telling me that Sariang Marong or Musajeng, if we were to work with the government, we are going to be a threat to national security? That we will undercut what is in the interest of the... Really? Madi, you seriously believe that? Come on now. Where I will agree with you that the government failure to do their due diligence in hiring and recruiting of these people, that I do agree. But that somehow, by carrying a passport other than the Gambian passport, we will be a threat to national security. I think that is hyperbole. If the highest order, I'm like, man, come on now.
Musa, the other thing too is, I know if we said it, they goes, oh, that was during dictatorship. But there were several ministers from the United States who have citizenship. They were appointed by Jan.
Of course. And Jammeh gives us the finger when the issue was raised. So what does that tell you about the difference between the two leaders? At least it's what he's feeling.
So this whole argument, that you need if you want to work for your country. There's a brother here. I think his name is Gabriel Gilbert Jassy. It's not about wanting to be a minister. I don't know if you said you live in the diaspora, but where you live, there's no such laws, right? Where you live, that you have to be like a natural born to actually run for local office or even to be nominated. If you have the qualification and everything. We have Gambians here who are like, mayors. There's one, Sana Balde is, what is, Yeah. But because of those laws, that's what we're talking about. It's not about I want to be minister. You know what I mean? You even National Assembly, you can't. As the law stands for now, right now, I think the law say you're not qualified, right? So that's what we're saying. If we want this whole country, Gambia, to move forward, I think the diversification of skill sets, tapping from different areas. And I think maybe, as you said, brings a different ballgame to the ministry, holding them accountable. Wants to roll out a policy agenda because she has an extensive experience. Exactly. So if she wants to make that, get away with business, like Mohammed Manjan. The only reason they start fighting Mohammed Manjan said the status quo is unsustainable. He wants to change, and they started fighting him, and he's gone. So, I don't know whether that's the same thing, but
this Gilbert Jassy, a good friend, I'm sure he's a patriot and a Gambian. Let me tell you this. This idea of ministers, in Gambian, we have this mentality as like being a minister is something so big that every Gambian wants to be a minister. My brother, that is not the case. Trust me, that nobody, to be honest, a good number of people living in the diaspora with their jobs and their families, they had a journey that you have to recognize. All right? And let's look at the Gambian economy as it is now, in the absence of remittances and our contribution to the economy.
Yeah.
Gambia will be a failed state. How in the hell do you think that contribution is coming from? If you live in the US or in Europe, if you do not legalize your status, how in God's name are you going to be a productive person to be able to help, the Gambian economy and your parents back home? How in God's name are you going to be able to do that? So don't think for a minute that people want to be ministers so bad that they will lie about it. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. Nah.
I carry a US passport. I carry a Gambian passport. And I know for a fact I will never lie just because of some ministerial job. Absolutely, I will not do that. I don't think Sadian will do that. Most people that I know that were in the struggle, fighting like hell. Bankamane is here visiting. He's gone home for the past 3-4 years. Bankamane will never lie about his citizenship. And I don't think he will ever give up his citizenship. He will not do that. People are not going to do that. The reality of our situation is, as Gambians, we have to recognize. Sorry, somebody's. Hello? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm on the radio. I have to call you back.
But you can mute, Musa.
Sorry. No, it gets me hot because during the constitution debate, there was this law. Even for me, the presidency, I'm telling you, I'm just saying, the best and the brightest. You're talking about human resource in the diaspora, and these are Gambians, committed and patriot for that matter, that could bring a lot to the table. And for us to hang on to a stupid law that doesn't, laws are made to help a country. What is in the interest of the country? I think that should be the fundamental question. And that needs to change. And if I were the president, I'm not even going to wait for this new draft constitution. I don't think there's an entrench clause. I don't know. Maybe Kex and some of these guys can help us out. I don't think it's an entrench clause. They could draft a bill tomorrow and change the damn thing. If you seriously believe, because you still have 2 years in your term. You still have 2 years. 2 years is a long time. You can recruit people that could come and bring a lot to the table. Push the bill and change it. That can be done. Again, Mr. Jase, I don't think people are lying about it. Someone dropped the ball when they're given the job, and Hadija to see when it became clear, she's like, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. I ain't doing that. I did not sacrifice 25, 30 years of my life just to kind of give it up.
Yeah.
Something that I don't even think the person driving the bus is taking it in the right direction. Why would I do that? For what? Who does that?
I don't think so, man. I'm with her 100%, man. I'm with her on this one.
She's not going to do that, and it's unfortunate. And that law needs to change and needs to go.
But now, where I hold your leader accountable,
yes.
And I know Boy Fati is online too, chiming in and out, is if there if there is an issue like this, and Barrow definitely wants to tap into the diaspora, that's where leadership comes into play. Maybe have a discussion with his party, and then maybe the other party, and say, hey, we wanted to change the face of this country. We wanted to bring folks with different skill sets. And I think folks in the diaspora can make a difference if we reach out to them and can come into terms how they can come over and work. I think get away with the law and start recruiting and getting people in there. Because, Musa, here's the thing I see. Some of the work ethics and you, even if you go to a local or a government office to get a document, I mean, if you go in there at 8 o'clock, someone didn't show up. They said, oh, the person is not here yet. Then they said, what time is it? It's about 10 o'clock. You come back at 10 o'clock, the person went out, but he's going to be back again, right? So you think about 3 hours. Last time I asked the guy, I said, is the sister on leave? He says, no. It's just that she went to run errands. Okay, why would she run errands on government time? That's where productivity lies in. But these are all things that I think folks from the diaspora knows that. They've been working. Even if they're taking their breaks, they know they can't take it for a certain length of time. And all these work ethics and all that, I mean, I think it comes into play. But I think if he cares about, to fix this law, I think that's where his leadership comes into play and play an active role to change it. I think that's what it is.
I totally agree. Because I just remember in 2017, when they thought that the age limit needed to be changed, it didn't take them long to change it. There was this other issue with
Even
the National
NAMS.
Assembly, the NAMS,
Yeah, if they cross
cross
carpet,
carpet.
their party will, yeah, they
Exactly.
change
And they
all
will
that.
still,
Yeah,
their thing will still be protected.
yeah,
They
yeah,
changed it. If
yeah.
you believe that the diaspora as a constituency is that vital, and we all agree that it's vital as far as socio-economic development of this country is concerned, then you do something about it. You demonstrate leadership. You call your attorney general and said, you know what, ASAP, I want a bill on my desk and I want to push it. If you do that, then I will say leadership. But if you don't, okay, let's wait for the draft constitution. But I can guarantee you one thing, though. This guy is saying that they have a foreign service bill which bans dual citizens from serving in the foreign service. Let them. Who really? Seriously, let them go ahead. They can take their foreign service and serve it. Who wants to be doing what? I'm just saying, you know, I know for a fact that holding another passport doesn't make us less of a patriot.
No,
That much
no,
I know. And I
yeah.
also do know, ñi wax fii yëpp sax 90% of them, if they have the opportunity, they'll be holding one of those. I can guarantee you. I can
To
guarantee.
hold you where
Oh,
what those? Oh,
one of
the
those
pad.
trust me. Let us be honest to each other that you cannot measure one's patriotism with these kind of gimmick.
Yeah, you can't.
It's
Definitely
neither here
cannot.
nor there.
No.
Like I said,
Yes.
people paid the ultimate price and they were carrying, an American passport, a European passport. They could have just said, you know what, it ain't my business. And also, one thing that you have to realize when you work in this country for so many years, there is what we call social security. The moment you abandon Sariang, and then that citizenship, so goes every contribution you've ever made. Who's going to do that?
No, those are all embedded, but I think they see the surface of it. I mean,
Nobody can, but Sariang, it's important. Here I am. I was not able to get a job in the Gambia. Things were hard as hell. People were being killed. I moved to another country. They gave me an opportunity. They gave me education. They gave me everything. All right. And here I am contributing a lot so that when I retire, this is money that I put aside.
Yeah.
You are coming back to my country. I still feel like, you know what? This is where my umbilical cord, feeling ko doge, feeling ko sul, kawur dandi mayo. I will never be able to walk away from that. So I decide that whatever expertise that I have, I don't mind to come and make a difference. And you're sitting there questioning my loyalty and saying, well, the only way you can do that if you give up the passport. As if giving up the passport will take care of the loyalty phase. If I want to be a spy for the US, for the American government, passport or no passport, I'll still be able to do that. It's a question of character. That's what it is. So I think it's stupid. It's a stupid law. And like you said, the president should demonstrate leadership and said, you know what? I am committed to this. I want good people. And I've seen the president definitely recruit good people. I also believe that, the fact that he was able to act upon it and said, okay, you resign. I have to give him that. Because we know we had a president who knew that people were carrying US passports, and all he did was give us the finger. Manlafi Jaju had a US passport. He was minister. So was Amadou Skater Jane. Jame knew, we all knew. But at least this president was able to step up and said, you know what? At least respond to whatever the law is, as stupid as the law is. But again, it is what it is, really. As long as we hang on to these laws, Sarian, I think it undermines what I would call the direction of this country. It undercuts, and it makes it very difficult, because I don't see a whole lot of people that are willing to, now they will sacrifice, but they're not going to shoot themselves on the head. I can tell you that. Nobody is going to do that. It's that. That's that.
Yeah.
I guess, I wish we can disagree on this issue, but apparently we are not. It doesn't make it interesting.
What do you mean we can disagree?
No,
Why do you always want disagreement? So you do all these disagreements just to kind of excite you.
my
Also,
man is
you're
saying the
looking.
Gambian politicians are scared of the diaspora because of the potential productivity, corruption, and ethnic tragedy that will come their way. I agree with you both.
Okay.
You can't innovate and progress without accepting the diaspora members. So, Sarian, there's this other issue. I mean, Sol Biden, now I see him kind of responding.
So no, hold on, Musa, you and both Tuklor C and Musa Ying always wants to get me riled up. That way we can create some type of disagreement, create a conversation. Okay, I got you. Move on, Musa. I get you now.
The, I was hoping that you will make it to Atlanta. There was the coalition talks. I actually reached out to brother Sol Baji. He was the moderator at the talk, and I'm like, why don't you come and help us? Give us a summary. What was
One thing though, I gotta give it to him.
Yeah,
he dressed up and he had his PowerPoint and he talks about the Revolutionary War and he talks about patriotism. That I like that part of the presentation. So go ahead.
I finally met my man with the family, beautiful family. Definitely. It was indeed an opportunity. But Saul, Lady, I sent you a text asking you to join us, but I'm here. So do you still want me to send you the link, so that you can kind of give us a rundown? Maybe I would do that. Neko, maybe I will definitely do that, Saul, because we want you to come and I just don't want to kind of give them a synopsis of the meeting itself. It's better to hear it from you. I mean, you were the moderator, and I think you did a fantastic job. Still trying to want to send you this link.
But Musa, I heard you went out there and you caused trouble. That's what I heard.
I did. Guilty as charged. But let me let Saul come in. Saul, I sent you the link. Yes, I went there. We were I went there. I mean, it was held at Savannah. So as the proprietor, obviously, I have to go and check things out. And I thought that it was an important meeting to go and sit down and listen. And it was interesting, well organized. I have to give it to Saul and the team too as well. Most of these guys, these are my friends too. We all know them very well. I mean, they were part of the struggle, and they continue to be. I also do believe that their heart is in the right place. They seriously believe that there is a need for change. And I have to give them that much. They've been doing this for almost over 20 years. So I'm not going to sit here and second guess where their heart is. The only thing that I second guess is that I think they're just going about it the wrong way. I think what they are trying to do, like I kept telling them, is trying to reinitiate a playbook of 2005. And we are looking at a totally different political dynamics and the tools that we should utilize. I mean, change we want, no doubt about that. I don't think there is disagreement. There is a need for change. How you go about it, fala aferi nega. But let me mute before you go over me. Saul is calling me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you want. So yeah, so I think I'm not part of that conversation. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to Atlanta, but I think from what I watch, if you want the concept of coalition, I think first, the roadmap has to be clearly identified, and and I think the conversation needs to be cordial, not pasturing, and you cannot alienate, for that matter, any of the political parties. That I know. And I think the conversation in Atlanta from the very get-go, I think they did not do that. So that is just, what I observe from my vantage point. So, but I will let Saul, dilate more on their the crafting of their strategy, and because I always from the conversations, it's always like, we're not gonna let this happen, we're not gonna have this whole factor majority party blah blah not gonna happen. So I don't know what that strategy is coming from, but I'm willing to listen with an open mind.
No, like I said, we all agreed with them as well that there is a need for change. Really, I mean, I don't need to be convinced on that. So the difference is, how do you bring about that change? And for me, I have told them, and I said it there. I mean, at the end of the debate, when we get to the question of answers, and my argument that as I laid it out was, I don't think the playbook that we did in 2005 is going to work this time around. And that is a coalition of all parties against the status quo. I don't think that that's practical. It's not going to work. I told them that. I also made it absolutely clear that if you are going to create a coalition of parties that do not include the major party, United Democratic Party, which I kept telling them that it's one of the most formidable vehicles if you want to confront and bring about change, I don't think it's going to work. And I also do know that what we did in 2016 was a little bit different. The coalition came from the Gambia. And what we did was we complement their efforts by raising funds. And that, to me, my solution to bring about change, and I kept putting emphasis on it, were 3 points. And that is, we need to rally and bring about a new constitution for the 2026 elections. That is important, whereby you have to win by absolute majority. Simple majority is not going to cut it. We want system change. That, to me, is system change. I also made it clear that the other point is that we have the constitution. Diaspora voting, I think, is absolutely another element that I think is important for system change. The other thing was to reform the Independent Electoral Commission, do away with attestations and things like that. We want an independent electoral commission, which I think we still do have. There are shortcomings that needs to be cleaned up. If we do that, as far as I'm concerned, Kuwin Bahna, I could care less. If the diasporans can vote, if we have a new constitution, not this stupid 1997 constitution that was bastardized by the dictator, and then I do believe we have those elements. That's all we need to bring about change.
So
I am not convinced.
Musa, let me, before Saul comes in, I don't mean to cut you. So are you saying all those you've listed, if we're able to implement those, that should suffice, irrespective of a coalition? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. I do agree with you. Not necessarily, because I wasn't born yesterday either. But I do know that the system change that they were talking about, coalition for a system change, I'm saying if you have these 3 elements, that will give us system change. I also do believe if you have these 3 elements, especially the second round of voting, it makes a coalition much more practical. You see, it makes it much more practical. From the get-go now, I just don't see how you can have a complete coalition of all the parties like we did in 2016 against.
I get what you're saying now.
Against Barrow. I don't think that is possible. I just don't believe that is possible. Now.
So you're saying if we had that 51 plus majority, even though we do not have the coalition from the onset, but because if there is a first round of voting and no party was able to break through that 51%, that is a mechanism that would force folks to come together, irrespective of their decision, to push through that threshold. Yeah, I got it. I think today for the first time though, I'm going to give it to you on your
I want us to
your.
disagree, though. I want us to disagree a little bit. That will get my temperature. And another point before Saul comes in that I raised was the question of safeguards. Because you see, we all were talking about safeguards were put in place in 2016. Safeguards in regards to Barrow just running for 3 years. You know what I mean? And then change the constitution, and then we have new elections. There were safeguards put into place. There were safeguards that Barrow resigned from the United Democratic Party and he became an independent candidate. There were a lot of safeguards that were put in place. But at the end of the day, there was no leverage. When he won, he was like, he gave us the finger. What makes you think? What safeguards can you put in place to make sure that that doesn't happen? And I wasn't able to get answers. All I was getting was mass mobilization and Fila Harijar. And I'm like, so Saul, give us a surmise. It was really nice meeting you in Atlanta. I think you did a fantastic job. Like I said, you guys, your heart is in the right place. You guys are soldiers, but just the your tools, the methodology, and the approach that I have problems with. Can you convince me, convince Arian, and convince our viewers, Brother Saul? Tell us what happened in Atlanta.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Musa, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to extend my greetings to my brother Sariang. I understand some things came up and you weren't there, but you were the missing puzzle of the piece with Musa Jeng, Coach Pasamba Jaw, and I in Atlanta. But I'm going to take this moment, Musa Damala kasi Olaf, because then I'll
Yes.
come back to English. Tama buga
Mm.
ni ñepp xam ne wax dëgg yàlla you opened your doors at the event center, the Savannah Event Center, and gave me the keys to do as we please. And I had access to everything we wanted to be able to host that event. And that is priceless, Musa. And Tukulur, she said this, but I'm just going to give it to her. There's a cost to running that business, Musa. And on that day, whatever the bill was, the electricity, the air conditioning, we all know how hot Atlanta is. Sariang, you know this, I know this, everybody knows that. But Musa opened up his doors to me. He gave me the code to come in early in the morning to set up, uh, and we did our event. So I will take the pros and cons, which is the cons are more important than the pros. A lot of my leadership who they were traveling in. I was mostly doing things and didn't have the support that I would have gotten. Keva just moved from Texas. He was settling down in Atlanta. Uncle Salum was also busy. Koto Salum, I don't call him Uncle Korola. So they were all tied up. So the setting up which we needed with one of your young guys was very phenomenal and helpful technology wise. The sewing up and helping us get everything lined up before we started was the reason why our technological side did fall apart because the intent was for Keva to hold one thing and I would do the slides and then we'll switch back and forth. Nonetheless, these are things that we've learned. And my Zoom, I registered my Zoom, but it was registered on my cell phone, and the one that I have on my iPad, my laptop, was not the registered one. So it would give us 41 minutes and it'll cut off. But nonetheless, all of these things have been fixed. But here I am to thank Musa for giving us that part of it. It is priceless, Musa. If we had to go someplace else to host this event, not only we would not have access to folks to be able to come in, but then there would be a price tag on it. And for that, I want to thank you for opening up the door. So I said this at the event in the opening for those who did not hear me. Ne, Musa, yo ya banker. Since 2016, you've been making this cry ne Atlanta July 4th su jotee saa yu ñu bëggee def event dañoo dem fii ñu ne ñu tëj leen dugale dem fële. You said this for so many years, and you were talking to banker trying to bring your heads together to figure out how you can do this. I don't think it's more about the money because that's part of it. Because for you to make a business, you have to earn a little bit of income to be able to have these young people who come in and help you. I bet you some of them are getting a little uh, some money from helping you. But you do have people who would be working there to fix the place, the cleaning and all that stuff. So lolu yep dafa bokk si what you have been doing to bring up these Savannah Event Center. So lolu mom dega dega neex yàlla man I am so ever grateful And so is the steering committee of the Coalition for System Change. So these were the glitches that happened, but we fixed those things. The Zoom is good. We had a meeting yesterday. So the takeaway from this event, Musa, and I'm going to go back to this. You guys are talking about the fact that uh, we have issues regarding where we want to take the country. And yes, Musa, we should be able to have people asking questions about what we're doing and how we're doing things because we have money. ñun suñ buggee def dara we shouldn't just people were talking President Jamai Pai after his lengthy interview for the first time. There were people talking on TFM with this guy, was it Papangayu? And this guy was talking about, on the side of the government, and this other guy was critiquing the government.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who was on the side of the government was talking about, that we shouldn't question things. And I agree with him, that with Papangane. What are your talk fee ñu expect ne saa yoo leen buggee def dara doo leen am nit ñoo xam ne dañoo ñëw ñu criticize leen ne yéen li ngeen
Right.
nekk di def man agree wu ma ci loolu. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what you always have done on this platform. I hear you saying that with Sharia, that somehow somebody should be on the other side critiquing and arguing as to why this person believes in this way.
Mm-hmm.
If we all agree that that is groupthink and it's a dangerous precedent, we don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So I give you kudos for letting us use your space and kudos for coming in and questioning us. So I'm going to answer the question that you talked about the coalition, that having a complete coalition may not be possible. And I agree. It is quite fine that we don't have a complete coalition of the people we had the time back in 2016. It is
Mm-hmm.
quite possible.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, what we're doing is we're not doing things independent of the opposition parties. We have invited them, as you have already seen, a couple of them showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them didn't. And I understand. People are skeptical. And so are the citizens of our country. Ñu bare ngi toog di wax naan coalition bi yoon bëgg amuñ ci interest. So there has to be a lot of work to convince people to believe ne lii mooy war a tax ñu war a def another coalition. And the missing puzzle, as you indicated about the safeguards, what we have now is different from what we did in 2016. What we did in 2016, when we raised funds, we brought these parties together, we told them to pick a flag bearer, and they did, and they selected Adama Barrow, and they went ahead and did the campaign, sending the message to people that this is what we're going to do. Now, failing to uphold to that is a bad precedent, Musa, because that is why people are skeptical. And that is why you're asking these poignant questions. These are very critical and important questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to talk Dandemayo sa dika finga neka. You know, like the same question, maybe not as well put out as you have. Why didn't like the question the one not wow. Lan moy tax di yon suñ amé président du def wax waxet comme Adama Barrow lu def mu tok fi di
Right.
def lu ko neex. We will be able to answer that question, and we should be able to answer that question, especially a question coming from Musa Ajay, who means well, than the person who's sitting over there asking, "Man, suma sani suma kata lama ko sani, sinit ko hamne dulolo." And there is a danger to this issue about us because people may feel again like living there kanang kafi bay. Comme que ñun xam nañ luñ am,
Correct.
nañ ci continue with Adama Barrow. We have to present something as an alternative. In 2021, you cried out and said, we need a third alternative. We
Right.
are in the process of creating a third alternative. And we just started, Musa. We've been together for 3 months. But I will tell you this, Musa. There's a lot of hard work that is going in the background that Gambians will come to know. We have put together reforms. We have put together ideas. We have a preamble. We have a bylaw. We have sections where we would have leaderships. That has completed its part. Now we're pivoting to creating these reforms committees where we will be discussing how these reforms are going to be implemented. What do we need to put in place for these reforms? I heard you talk about these ministers who somehow have this dual citizenship. New Guinea,
Right.
I'm going
Right.
things that are so ridiculous, Musa. And I'll come back to this safeguard question that you asked because it's
Mm-hmm.
important. ñu mënuñoo toog fii ñuy pump in over $1 billion of our money
Mm-hmm.
in that country ba pare constitution bi jox ñu which yoo xam nga loolu coach Passamba Diaw ak ñoom Sidi Sané they fought this The
mm,
Supreme Court, Limota Sumohe Asanjalo, Dangmade against, but this is the problem. They
mm,
should be able to put their foot down to say our citizens cannot be marginalized. We
mm.
have about close to 400,000 Gambians. You heard me give those numbers. These are tangible numbers that are done. This were collected, put together by Omar Kebe.
Yeah,
This
that document.
the last time they had these survey numbers was in 2019, and my
Mm,
calculation tends to go along the lines of what our numbers would be today, 5 years on, if we were to count the citizens who were ñoo xam ne dañ juddoo Gambia ñu ñëw fii ak suñ doom yi yow sa doom yi based on this constitution they qualify to vote. So
absolutely.
amee tey state so amee 18 years they qualify to vote. So if you add those numbers plus the $1 billion that we're pumping into that economy, now you're talking a constituency of about close to 380,000 Gambians ñu ngi leen marginalized.
Hmm.
How do we allow this to happen under these conditions when the Constitution clearly states that these citizens who are out there by this 1997 Constitution?
Yeah. So he cut off there for a minute. I'm not sure
What
what
happened?
happened. I don't know what happened. But I mean, I hear where Saul is. Hold on. Where Saul is coming from. I mean, making his argument. My the only question is where do they go from now? So he's telling us he's admitting the difficulty of forming a coalition, no doubt. He's talking about, and I heard that even when I was at their meeting, they're talking about the third rail. I mean, you remember back in 2021, before that, that was something that I was, I was peddling out here. I mean, that was my mantra that I had issues with, the breakaway of UDP forming two parties and then just coming and dominating, monopolizing the political space. I thought there should be a third option at that time. That the only way we can be, we can have a what I would call a competitive elections to give us an option. I did not like the binary choice. That's why but anyway, I'll let Saul continue.
Amusa, you
Yes.
I had a call, but sometimes these things you can't. There's nothing you can do about it. But anyway, my point was talking about our citizenship and the numbers that are out here in the diaspora. That we have 380,000 people of us. How many people voted in West Coast? 70,000 people voted for Yankuba Dabo. So you can say West Coast, which is the largest constituency, may have had like what 110,000 participants who voted in the election. Most of those people voted for Yankuba Dabo. If we were to be participating in the election, I'm not saying 380,000 Gambians out in the diaspora would vote or qualify to vote, but I can bet that 50% or 55% of that number would qualify to vote. If we were to vote and there's an amount of 200,000 Gambians voting, that number would be larger than perhaps the people who voted in West Coast or equal to the people who voted in West Coast. So my point is we cannot allow this to happen. And this is one of the things that we are going to put in place. And the fight needs to start with us Gambians. Yange wa ape passport and visa. So they may Gambia nga ega ci airport bi ñu la wa nga pay visa. We are going to question us Gambians to fill out some data and tell us whether they support this idea of not them ega banji ñu fail on a visa. Not only that, you fail a security fee as if you are a foreigner in your home country. These are things that we're talking about. So coming back to answer your question about these safeguards, what we have talked about, and this is what we're going to implement. Not only are we doing this out here, we are doing this with communities and people on the ground. We are going to work with other groups. You saw these young people called what do you call it again? Concerned citizens. I they're very smart and intelligent. The idea is bring them together. This is a work in progress, but a movement in that is the name we're calling it. But it's going to be a committee that is going to be put in place if we ever arrive to the point of having a coalition, whatever the coalition is going to be. We haven't picked a candidate, we haven't done anything, but that coalition would be responsible, or committee would be responsible of overseeing whatever agreement we have. And they're not going to be there for 2026 alone. They will be there for the duration of that 5 years of a contract with the Gambian people, where we shake the hands of Gambians and say, this is our agreement, this is what we want to fulfill for you. And the president will be beholden to that. And we are going to make sure that when we have parliamentary elections, every political party that has joined this coalition will be asked to go and independently campaign. We will fund them to campaign because not only will they be passing the laws, but they will be holding the president and holding everybody accountable to make sure that whatever we agreed upon is implemented for the period that we have in the presidency. It's a tough call. Purma Daniel Musa, I mentioned this the July 4th weekend, which was a very important point for me to raise. I don't think us Africans understand the implications and the importance of democracy. And I'm going to emphasize this for Gambians to understand this. July 4th was the day in 1776 that these leaders, the founding fathers, signed on their constitution in Philadelphia. Around August 27th, they were out there battling out with the British. Do you understand the difference between that? A country that is saying we are independent, but they were not independent completely because the British never gave up. They almost lost it to the British during that fight with the Brooklyn, the Battle of Brooklyn. That was on August the 27th, some 25 days, 20 days after they signed their independence. George Washington and his people almost lost that. Thousands of citizens, soldiers from Maryland, my state where I am, they were all killed in that fight. They never gave up. They lost it to the British, but they came back and they fought and they defeated the British. The British packed up their stuff and they went back. This is how the United States sacrificed itself. There were people, we teach this in the classrooms, people walking in snow, Musa, barefoot, frigid cold weather conditions to defend their country. What is stopping Gambians from doing this? We will not be successful if we are working in groups. It has to be a coalition, just like we did in 2016, by us bringing our thoughts and things and ideas together. Now we are doing the groundwork. We're going to begin doing
So,
that. I'm going to be in an interview in about 25 minutes at 3 o'clock with Freedom Radio to
yes,
again
so
push this idea. But I'm going to
nobody,
pass it on to you, Musa.
nobody disagrees with that a coalition could be an option. Now, most people are saying, listening to you and being at the meeting, that you guys are confronted with what I would call two options. I don't think you'll be able to get a coalition of all the parties. You guys mentioned the third rail as an option. The third rail. How do you envision that third rail?
Oh, Musa, I'm sorry. I was just talking to somebody, my daughter. What was your question again?
The question is, I mean, when I was at the meeting, Bima Faneke, they got
Oh,
a lot about third rail, and I was able to glean, but I don't want to be, I don't want to be presumptuous. Man,
uh-huh.
dama dee bëgg a ñëw rek jaxarang waa affaire bi naka la. You guys were
Yes.
kind of teeter-tottering around it. When you say third rail, what do you mean?
You're talking
What do
about a
you guys
third rail
mean?
or
Like
guardrail?
third rail as an option? Because
I don't understand your question about guardrail. I mean, we're talking about
third
a
third
third
rail,
option.
the third option. Like in other words, because man, when I said there should be a third rail back in 2021, Moine, we have to run
Mhm.
against NPP and against UDP. We have to give people a third choice. We don't want to be in this capsule of binary choice. When you guys
Oh,
say the third rail as an option, what do you guys mean by that?
okay. This is a very important question. But I'm gonna answer the question. This guy, Paba Kariba, posted a question asking about what we define about a system change. That definition is already there. I urge people to visit our website and go to our Facebook page. You will read our mission and vision. The Facebook page again would be Coalition for System Change. If you go to our website, which I'm building, we just posted that website, Coalition for System Change.com. You will be able to see some information there, but we will post more details there. But this answer has been completely done. We may talk about it tonight during our Freedom Radio interview. What I mean, Musa, is this: we're not doing this third option like you suggested back then because you wanted us to have something independent of UDP and NPP.
Yes.
That's not the intent of this coalition. The intent of this coalition is, again, Adama Barrow ak ñoñam kenn du bokk ci suñ coalition bi loolu moom ma wax la ko tey. If you support NPP nga foog ne NPP dinañ ñëw ñu léegi léegi lañ bëgg a ñëw négocier ak ñëw. I will not negotiate with Adama Barrow. I will resign from the organization. Adama Barrow does not have the competence. He is not trustworthy. He has lied, and these people continue to steal money from our people. Nit ñaa ngi sona dande
Oh,
maayo
I
man
get it.
maa ko
I
doon
get
wax
it. I
déglul.
get it. I
I'm going
get
to
it.
answer your question. Waaye
No, I
déglul
get it. I
déglul
get it.
politics
I'm
nii
just
la
saying.
you have to allow
No,
me to answer the question.
no, no,
Bugguma
no.
maa
I mean,
affaire ay
come
Adama
on,
Barrow.
Adama Barrow.
NPP Adama Barrow duñ ci bokka man maa la ko wax tey. They
No,
will not be
fine.
part of this
I get
coalition.
that. But what is
Okay,
the third
so
option? You guys
let
kept
me
saying
answer that
third
question.
option. Third. How many
Okay.
days? 1 days, 2 days, three. So what is one and what is two and what is three? Three more in the
I'm,
third option. Moilan.
I'm not too sure that the description was about a third option. Maybe no longer data, but the intent of what we're doing is not necessarily a third option, like you suggested that we should have done in 2021. I want to clarify this. We have written to all the other political parties. ñoo xam ne dañ aligned with what we think.
But
ñoo
no
xam
one
ne
showed up.
déglul
No
Musa
one showed
Musa
up.
hold on. Yeah, hold on. Te di soobee yaa ñëw nañ
Now,
déglul they sent a
2005,
delegation
2005,
déglul.
or 2003, when we reached out to them, the entire opposition party, Halifa Sallah was here, Omar Amadou Jallo was here, Yaya Jallo was here, Wajwara. In other words, the leaders were here. When I went to that hall, I did not see a single leader. What I saw was coattails. What I saw was send sidekicks. No disrespect to them, but to me that tells me that these parties are not even committed. They don't see you guys as serious.
Thank you very much. And we appreciate the fact that they didn't. But I will take credit for what you just said. The time frame, again, I mentioned we started this 3 months ago. The time frame that we gave these political parties, to their credit, was very short. So let's begin your forget visa. Number one, that's one of the problems. But they all responded. Some didn't. And the reason why ñu foog ne ñoom ñëwuñ comme ni nga waxee noonu, they may not necessarily say they don't take us serious, but they want to see what we are up against, what we are trying to offer. I think that is the hesitancy. So you're right. None of these political leaders came, and we're okay with that. What we want to do is we're gonna continue to do what we're gonna do. But to answer your question, Musa, there's no third option boo xam ne dafa dem against the UDP. That's not what we're building. What we're doing is we will have this conversation with the UDP. The UDP at some point, and all these other political parties, they're not affiliated with NPP. That's the answer to your question. And when we have a coalition, the intent is not for a third option. No. Then Buga am an option of everybody going against Adam Barrow and Agnew. Does that answer your question?
So young, my good friend. Sarian,
Musa.
go ahead because we have few minutes left before the European Championship. We'll be losing our viewers soon.
So I think you spoke about if I heard you correctly. What kind of safeguard? Because you talk about initially if someone get elected into the presidency. I mean, based on the current constitution and the executive power vested on that individual, how do you curtail those powers? I mean, there is absolutely none. So from your vantage point, what are some of the safeguards, in terms of the grand scheme of system change? What are some of the things that you guys are talking about in implementing? And more importantly, I think Musa asked a question here, and I really wanted to kind of hit back on that a little bit. What are you guys doing to invite others to the table? Because if you say you guys are reaching out, I've seen certain, write-ups and conversations that contravenes in what you're saying. So, I mean, for clarity purpose, and a lot of people are watching, you got the floor. If you could shed light on those.
Okay, so this one, the second question is, in fact, a little bit more critical. We are not doing this independent of any of those political parties. And if you ask them, they would agree with you. And I'm sure political parties like DOI and UDP, they are honest enough. Pour ñu wax la ne, we have heard from these people. We were not able to respond for whatever reason, most likely because of the timing. eh, bëgg a ñëw fii fa mu visa. So
So you
the timing
responded,
was,
first of all. They did
they,
not even
they,
respond.
they did respond, Musa. I mean, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
agree with you making this statement that they didn't respond.
Oh, okay.
Loolu moom dëgg
Musa,
da nga ko
stop
teg
agitating. Is my question, though. Saul, please answer my question. So he's a distractor today. Yeah,
yeah.
please. Okay.
Moom kay lu ma wax ne NPP du fi bokk loolu moo ko merloo. That's all there is. NPP duñ ko bokk Adama Barrow Manasi soo ma déglu naa la wax ne NPP will not be part of this coalition. I'm just telling you, Barrow. You
Boobu
can
leer
go
na
to
moom kañ.
Mankamakunda, boobu leer na. So Saria, honestly speaking, your question about the fact that reaching out and having this conversation with these political parties, we have reached out to them, and I'm going to tell you this. They have been talking to us. Now, they would be skeptical, and I wouldn't blame them to be skeptical because, again, ñoom suñ buggee dugal seen boppa si lii, a lot of their people are going to ask, what is in it for us? So we're not doing this outside of not understanding what is at stake. Yes, they haven't showed up in the leadership, which is Musa Lumo Wahnun. But I have understand that these things are usually very slow, and these political parties are very skeptical. The ones that we believe are genuine, responding to our call, and that is settling to us. Now, your question about the safeguards are twofold. We will have part of this agreement with whoever we form a coalition with, that the agreement must be we will have a committee that is independent of any of these affiliations. It will be civil society group, whoever it is. That committee would be responsible of Hamga a Johnson agreement with Java Arama Baro. It was more like what do you call it? Not a memorandum of understanding. We're not doing a memorandum of understanding. There would be a binary agreement where everybody would sign up to say, we are going to do this. We understand what the Constitution is saying. But Sariam, your point well taken. The president can say, I'm the executive. I'm going to stay. I'm going to do whatever I want. This is why we are having the second guardrail protection of having members of parliament who are competent enough to hold the president accountable. In which case, if he doesn't do that, we're going to go out there and tell the citizens that we agreed and we shook hands with you. We had a contract with you, citizens, that this is what we're going to do. The president is not upholding to that. We want now to go and start talking about removing him. This is what our intent is. Now,
Mhm.
whether people will agree with that or not, but that is what we're going to use for now until we can have a new constitution. On top of which, if we have a good parliament that comes into place, Musa or Sharia, now there's a window between when the president is elected and parliament comes into play. But during that period of time, this committee would be responsible of holding him up to the agreement. But when we have a new parliament, well, guess what? We will pass the new constitution, the constitution that you guys were talking about. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you.
All right, Samusa, I gotta leave you guys because I have like 5 minutes. I'm gonna be in another interview at
All
three
right,
o'clock.
so no, no, no. But we thank you immensely. Man, you gis la woon suma text bi. I sent it since yesterday.
Gisuma sa text bi laay su ma la ko waxee di ko
So,
play. I'll
so,
send you a screenshot of your
No, no,
yow
no.
foog naa ne
Xam nga
dafa am ku la block nag foog naa Adama Barrow daf la block bugun nga wax a man.
so,
I
so,
think that
so, so,
yeah.
just to wrap this up before you get away, you are firm and committed, unequivocally, that MPP Dalmon Bokut,
du bokk.
right? Yeah, I hear you.
NPP maa ngi ñaan yàlla ne na ma may ma mun suma wax bii nii mu taxaw. NPP will never be part of this coalition. suñ ko defee rek ma resign.
Boobu set na. But
waaw
so
Moussa soo demee nga wax ko loolu wax ko ne man maa wax loolu mais NPP suñ ma koolee I will hang up the phone of Adama Barrow ma naa Boy.
So thank you very much and good luck.
So
Jërëjëf waay,
thank
thank
you,
you so
sir.
much.
We will be
Thank
following
you.
you guys definitely. So muna coalition with all NPP will book.
No, MPP
Why not?
bogus.
No, why say that? That's a given. They don't even have to promote. I'm not my jahal.
No.
I mean, I'm not my jahal. I
Hmm.
mean, now I don't really even understand what their entity is all about.
He
Because
gets you confused. The one
no,
thing
because the
though,
mission
uh-huh.
from the name Coalition for System Change. Because if you bite more than you can chew, is that the is that the right saying? I think they're going totally different tangent. This whole thing about putting policies in place and doing this and doing that, I think is too much. You guys want to
I'm
you guys want to make sure that Adama Barrow and the government get replaced with a totally different system, under a totally different government. So that has to be clear. So whatever you do, when you get dive into policies and this and that, I think that is too much. All you guys need to do is work on bringing the parties together. So work. Spend time and effort onto that. And then so that come 2026, we are looking at maybe a binary choice, Adama Barrow against the opposition. To me, that would be the ideal. If anything that you do should be directed at that. So let's decide. And I asked him the third rail because, and he I mean, we all know what the third option is. There are two parties that are seen to be monopolizing the political landscape. There are two parties now monopolize affair, more UDP and NPP. So when you take a third option, you're saying something other than these two. I feel you need to be honest, so that people you can bring them on board. But if people are confused on what you are trying to do, then parties are going to be very skeptical. And to me, that is why, I mean, I don't think these parties are taking. And another issue, Moine, that I kept asking, what makes you guys think political parties would even listen to you? What do you have? What leverage? In politics, you have to have leverage. If I'm going to listen to, one would ask, well, Musa, but then in 2003, they listened to you guys. Yes, we had leverage. We had a dictator, ko hamne mu ngi rey, wax dee naka, wax dee dunda lii. I mean, and everybody was running away. There was no
Mhm.
media to talk about. So the diaspora was the place where we can campaign, we can take the fight to Jame, we can raise the money. No, there was no democracy of any sort. The political space was very narrow. So that was the leverage that the diaspora had. And in 2016, the leverage we had, Moine, look, you guys come together. If you do, however you do it, and it has to be a complete one, then we will fund it. You know what I mean? So that was the
Mhm.
leverage. This time around,
Yeah. No, the other thing that I'm a little confused when I ask, about the president, how you could curtail, and he mentioned something about they would take their message to the voters because the presidential elections and the NAM elections are different. But I think I would call it naive to some extent because we've seen how these political parties play out, right? So somehow, if you really think you're gonna hold these names to to an account, they're not gonna do whatever they want when they get to that to that National Assembly. I'm telling you, you must be drinking some big time Kool-Aid, man.
no
I'm
Kool-Aid,
telling you.
no Kool-Aid.
Huh?
They're drinking some Hennessy.
No, no, I'm serious. I mean, how you got so the president has the constitution, all the powers vested on him. You take your message, which is now binding. So how do you think who has the most power? I don't know.
Nah, bro.
I really, I'm a
Safeguards,
little confused with that answer to myself.
safeguards,
But
safeguards. There are no safeguards that you can put in place. Hamgamota, coming back to my solution, I don't. It will get to a point that we shouldn't dwell too much on who replaces Barrow.
yeah,
Seriously, I think what we need to focus on, going to change the system. and then the system will bring a replacement. If you allow the diaspora to vote, more one number see, 200, 300,000 potential voters, are you telling me that cannot change the political situation in the Gambia? It can. Are you telling me a second round of voting cannot change the political situation in the Gambia? It can, because I don't believe there is a single party that can win more than 50%. I just don't believe it. I don't. So there is going to be a second round of voting. I also do believe that if you reform the IEC and make it much better, give them the resources that they need, get away with some of these attestations and things that will compromise the integrity of the vote. But I do believe that if you do all those things, Gambian couldn't decide the moment you vote. I think we should respect that. That's what I believe. Really?
Yeah, I think there should be, first of all, a need identified, right? Saying that these are the pointers. And I think if I understand you correctly, that's where you are saying, hey, let's build a common team around what we need to present where we can get a solid buy-in, right?
Yes,
so
from everybody. Correct.
Yeah, from everybody. Not per se what you're saying. I think the mechanics of it, I think that's where I think still now they are struggling, right? So put some type of a solid framework and put some pointers and say, this is the need. If we're able to talk all these like change of government, who is going to be at least at some point, if we pass the constitution, which is 50 plus one, if anyone hasn't hit that threshold, there is going to be a need to form a coalition. That formulation of that, whereby you can hash out these little skimmers and kind of fine tune. Yeah, I think what you are saying make complete sense, but I really don't know whether they are catching what you are saying.
No.
But I give kudos to you for that.
For the first round of voting, I mean, I could see parties making deals for the first round of voting. I mean, they can. I mean, if I were, let's say, a DOI or a UDP for the first round, I could go and say, you know what, I'm going to talk to this party and say, look, let's coalesce. All right, you come and support our candidate, and then we go through the first round. And then that would help them out. I could see them doing that, individual parties. Why not them? What we did in 2016. I don't think that is feasible. It's the feasibility, it's the difficulty of it. Looking at participating tahaw. So and there are 15 candidates that haven't even announced yet. Sariang Marong hasn't announced his candidates yet. And then I'm in the office. So for you to think, man, you can rally parties right now. Nobody dares. You see, the incentive wasn't there for people to throw their hat in the ring. There were just few citizens that were willing to do it. So nobody would want to bring them together. More gena yomba. Legi, everybody and their father want to run for the presidency because of the political space that we have. So how in God's name are you going to be able to coalesce all of them in the land together? Some of them haven't even announced yet.
So the attendance was poor, huh?
Oh my God, extremely poor. And I told them that. In 2003, we had a hall full, 200 people. All the political leaders were there. The ingredients was there for a coalition. Nyom, I didn't even count. I mean, see, these are good people, so I don't want to discourage. I mean, I don't think I can discourage them anyway. But the numbers were minute. None of the leaders show up. They had their sidekicks. I think GFA was represented by Amadou Lo. There was another Sekou Jame, represent. And then there was Hadijalo representing SFL. And I mean, and that was it.
And who were you representing? MPP?
Absolutely not. I mean, I wouldn't be going there. I was going there because these are my friends. Their heart is in the right place. We have two things in common. We all want change. We want come 2026 Barrow is replaced with another government. I don't want Fabakary Tombong Jatta to be the speaker. I don't want Sidi Njai anywhere close to the government. So what I have in common with them is that. Where I disagree with them is they are utilizing the wrong strategy to bring about the change.
Yeah.
So I had to go there and echo that sentiment, which I did. So Sariang, England versus Spain. Who you supporting?
Yep.
England
Time.
versus Spain.
Oh, England, man. I'm supporting England.
Suma waji Seku Sedili mu ma don jam xam naa ne gis nga ko sax mu ma jam here.
Like what? What was he saying?
Self-adulation. Yeah, I know Musa Jeng, he doesn't think at the Bantaba. I mean, I called this long time ago that these people are their appointments are illegal. So I have been proven again. He said, I'm like, he doesn't, now he has to know that the Bantaba, we have networks and connections. Is true.
So that means for the people by the people don't have connections.
But I'm not gonna respond to my man. I gotta give him that much. Why? One thing I know, if there was one person that was always out there, and I'm not saying Bantaba doesn't, Pasamba was all over this Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Usman Ba. Pasamba has been saying the guy has not renounced his U.S. citizenship. That much I know.
Yeah. No, he's been saying that. Yeah.
He's been saying that. Whether Sehu has said that or not, I don't know. Maybe he has. I don't watch Bantaba. I don't watch.
Musa, but you watch if they are not on live session, you don't watch. If they are on live session, you don't watch it. But after, I'm gonna system be fat dance so coming for more will be palantero le kanjive. So you palantero be.
No. Why not? If there is something hot, I will go and listen to my man. I even went to the Bantaba, Mangphone, and I was there. But this was at the beginning.
Musa, you ain't kasi palantero be. After guys finish, you like let me go watch my man.
No, I'm gonna Bantaba the transition. When they started out, yes, it was a UDP platform, but it was very Nyemenyonen. It was also democratic platform. Opening it up, they can agree, push it's just like they'll push the UDP policies and programs, which is fine, but also Ragalun to open up. They were inviting the Ibrahim Silas of this world, they were inviting people that are not necessarily, but somehow it transitioned to become a propaganda tool. I would call it the apparatchik, Johan Posner. You remember Posner? Used to be this Soviet, he was always out there defending the Soviet Union. I mean, it's called Posner. and then let me see what Omar Juve, my man, says here. The parties have the people, you can only reach the people through the parties. Telling folks to abandon their parties won't work. Their best option is to become a fundraiser for the coalition. But it is crucial we remember APRC lost about 300,000 illegal voters cards. Make no mistake about it, Presi Barrow has inherited everything criminal in the practice of politics from the dictatorship. Sorry. The only way forward is to unify the players on the ground. United we stand, divided we fall. Oh, there goes the UDP mantra from the UDP star player from Canada. my good old friend and classmate, Omar Ju. He's a patriot, though. I can tell you that. He is a hell of a patriot. He was out there taking the fight to Jammeh. Really. So, Sariang, let's go watch this game, man.
Yes, sir. Later, man.
We will come back. But say, Sariang, I forgot something, though.
What is it?
Maybe the arts. These people paying us some money.
Yeah, maybe. Well, how about Bas? Tell Bas to look at that ad and see if he can play it.
Yeah, he needs to. I mean, I can play some of.
Heroes indeed walk amongst us. Every day, individuals accomplishing extraordinary feats. And now, the Photo Network proudly presents live at the Sadara Karaba Jawara Conference Center on Saturday, May
Gambiana. Welcome to Greenville Estate in the heart of Gunjur, just minutes away from the Gunjur Highway. The estate is located in a serene and nature-oriented environment which makes it the first community in the Gambia certified by the National Environmental Agency. As part of our Going Green initiative, beautiful trees grace the landscape as you drive into the estate, and we are planting even more trees. Go green and own a piece of our Greenville dream. With 673 plots of land available, you can purchase a plot today and start construction immediately. Find your next home at the Greenville Estate, an affordable estate that suits any budget.
While you have certainly heard about coronavirus, commonly called COVID, you might not know these important facts and ways to protect your family from the illness it can bring. COVID can be very contagious through air, touch, or sharing food. It has been studied at length, and we can share with you what we know so far. Who are we? We are New World International, a non-profit organization located in Washington State, and our mission is to educate people about coronavirus. The coronavirus can cause serious illness and, yes, even death if not treated right away. The symptoms are similar to the common flu: fever, cough, sore throat, and shortness of breath. Many people experience these symptoms and wait too long to seek medical attention. That can be a life-threatening mistake. Certainly, keeping a safe distance from others that appear to have flu symptoms is advisable. It's always better to be safe than sorry. If you develop these symptoms, there won't be any way for you to know that it's just a common flu unless you have a test done. It's best to seek out a doctor, nurse, health worker, or health facility to get advice and treatment if needed. If you are a student, report the conditions to your teacher right away. By all means, stay home if you are sick. Always cover your mouth and nose if you sneeze, and wash up afterward. The contagion spreads with the moisture droplets. As you have heard, there is a vaccine available for coronavirus. Seriously consider receiving a vaccine before you become ill. And above all, consult with your doctor when you do not feel well. For more information, please visit us online at newworldinternational.org.